lot of you have been expecting this post. So strap in. 'Cause it's gonna be a long one. I'll be deleting it shortly, however. So get your screenshots while you can. Here we go. Chapter 1, Cult of Personality. Once upon a time, 2 weeks ago, a small group of people crashed our bi-weekly community meeting in Binghamton, citing accusations of harm. To de-escalate the situation and allow space for dissent, I excused myself from the meeting and went to run some errands while they spoke to the remaining group, about 30 of us. I had already had a private 3-hour meeting with these individuals back in October, a courtesy I extend only to black people, so I already knew their grievances. And this wasn't the first meeting of ours they disrupted. Their main concerns were about me. They conveyed during our October meeting that my Facebook influence was too large, and I was harming women in the community by writing about local issues on Facebook, subliminals, and that I was hogging all the white allies in Binghamton for my initiatives. These claims were vague, but it was made clear they felt I was a charismatic man abusing my power and privilege in the community to run a dangerous cult. Their word. They felt that the work we were doing was good, but dangerous because of my involvement. They also felt white allies in the community weren't giving other initiatives the same time and consideration they were giving to my initiatives. Specifically, they referenced the Buy Nothing market on the north side, which I have zero involvement in and have never even mentioned online until now. That was the extent of the harm I was informed of at the time. You still with me? You should ask yourself why. Anyway, I heard their grievances in October and asked what they'd like me to do, but got no clear answers. I offered some suggestions, like deactivating my Facebook page more often and staying away from any community spaces they attend. I even suggested they publish an open letter alerting the community if they felt I was truly a danger. They stopped short of telling me not to organize, but it seemed like that was primarily what they wanted. They kinda just wanted me to go away. If you're thinking to yourself, this sounds fucking absurd, congratulations on not being a community organizer. But in leftist spaces this is a fairly common occurrence, and for good reason. Men abuse the fuck out of women, and male organizers in our community have been called out in the past for being domestic abusers and sexual predators, for example. I assured this group of concerned individuals that I wasn't running a cult to my knowledge and invited them to one of our upcoming events, Candy Chaos, or a meeting. They said they'd attend Candy Chaos, but didn't. Mind you, back in October, my current organizing team was only on our 10th meeting. We're still in our infancy. Our 1-year anniversary is in May. But for our next few meetings, after October, my team discussed, again, the importance of decentralized leadership and how groups like the Black Panthers were torn apart by centering male figureheads like Huey Newton and Eldridge Cleaver. We read an insider's take on the demise of the Black Panther Party, by Don Cox, and I reminded everyone that this is Binghamton and I literally only come to meetings for the food. I also reminded everyone that Huey Newton was assassinated and I'd rather not be assassinated for my involvement in what is, essentially, a communist book club that organizes a handful of community events a year. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, and there's a new allegation of harm brought forward by the individuals who crashed our meeting, this one much more serious, but it's not directed at me. Unbeknownst to us, one of our non-male members, we don't actually have members, but somebody who'd attended 3 of our meetings in the past, was accused of stalking their ex-partner, a queer black woman, sometime last year. This is very serious and has everyone's attention, but quickly takes a back seat once again to their grievances about me. The disruptors, I'm told, brought up the same stuff from my October meeting about me being a manipulative leader who is actively harming women and has too much Facebook power. They said when I joke about this stuff online it causes harm to women, because their claims are serious and making light of it is tantamount to abuse and manipulation. I admit, I do make jokes about the cult stuff because it's objectively hilarious. I'll probably never stop. To be clear, cults aren't funny. What's funny is the notion that I'm running one from a local community center where we only meet twice a month. In fact, the group I'm involved in is one of the smallest in my life. We don't even have a name, and I don't facilitate every meeting, we take turns. Any donations collected go through our treasurers, who are all black women. Our meetings aren't even private, new community members pop in every other week to participate or observe. I attended bigger weekly lectures in college. I had more followers as a rapper than I ever had as an activist. No exaggeration, my dad, may he rot in hell, was in a gang larger than my current community group. And they had a cool name and matching bandanas. You'd have to be delusional to mistake my group for a cult. Or at the very least you'd have to have a personal beef with me, and a willingness to weaponize social justice language to enact revenge. But I digress. My team did what they're supposed to do with this new information and took the accusations seriously. Literally overnight there was an accountability committee being put together with the accusers to investigate the stalking allegations and to determine if the claims made against me were serious enough to warrant an accountability session. That was 17 days ago. 17 days of people whispering rumors about me, wondering who I must have molested or violently attacked. 17 days of people asking if I'm safe to be around children. 17 days of silence that has caused enormous harm to me and my family. The Accountability Committee broke the cardinal rule of transformative justice by making me a victim. These allegations are the talk of the town, or at least the parts of the town reserved for progressives and leftists. The difference is, I know better than to expect an apology from them. As rumors swirled, the committee eventually acknowledged in one of our group chats that domestic violence and sexual assault were not part of the accusations. Many of the people who were originally involved in the accountability process quit once they realized the harm was mostly about Facebook posts. Days passed. More people continued to jump ship. The committee started reaching out to members of the community to find harm I may have committed in the past to hold me accountable. Typically this isn't how an accountability process occurs, but I just let it rock. The remaining committee grew frustrated. A week passed. Eventually, it was leaked to me that one of the women now leading the committee brought up a new claim that I had kissed her 7 years ago at a pregame, and the kiss was unwanted. That is a serious claim, and I think you should believe black women. Period. Including the other black woman who was a witness and can attest to the truth. I won't speak on that further because I'm a noble and righteous man with no interest in undermining claims of sexual assault. Okay, fine, I can't speak on that for legal reasons. Also because I have no interest in undermining claims of sexual assault. But my conscience is clear. I've literally babysat these women's children in recent years, so, yeah. Enough said. Chapter 2, Good Timing. Ironically, this entire shitstorm actually came at a good time. I was already on a mental health break from social media following the most recent local drama surrounding Wegmans and the Bundy Museum. And I was busy organizing our trip to DC for last week's Palestine March. I didn't really have much going on in Binghamton, so I stepped back to allow the committee time to conduct their investigation. But in the past few weeks, I still haven't been told specifically what harm I caused that was so egregious as to justify removing me from the leadership role in my singular organizing space. I still haven't been told what harm I'm being accused of that warrants even being subjected to a transformative justice accountability process, let alone an illegitimate process run by people who have no idea what they're doing but have a grudge against me for being good at what I do. Usually, transformative justice processes are for serious, non-ambiguous harm, like domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, financial abuse, etc. Not for Facebook subs. Not for being problematic. Not for being disliked over personal and political differences. And definitely not for running a small group of intergenerational communists specializing in youth engagement. And if the harms are extremely dangerous, the community has a right to know so they can take measures to protect themselves. I'm a youth organizer, after all. Why would the Accountability Committee sit on this information for weeks if there was even a chance I was a danger to the community? The math ain't mathin'. So I understand why in the absence of transparency, some people have assumed the worst. Because it's irresponsible and dangerous to put an accountability process into motion without clearly outlining the harm up front. Otherwise it's just a fishing expedition. And more people have indeed come forward to accuse me of being an asshole throughout this process. I'm told one person called me a fuckboy at the first accountability meeting. Somebody else found out I cheated on my girlfriend in 2015. Someone else found a news article about me missing a court date in 2016. This information has been leaked to me in bits and pieces, informally, as they attempt to build a case that I'm a danger to the community, yet can only provide examples of petty interpersonal disputes from nearly a decade ago. Oh, and the original stalking claim that seemed much more serious and urgent has all but been ignored. There have been no further calls for accountability around that allegation. It's as if it was solely brought up to provide an opportunity to come after me, even though I had nothing to do with that and was not even aware of the allegation until 17 days ago, when this all began. Are there a bunch of people in New York that can't stand me because they don't like the way I organize? Yes. Are some of them progressives? Yes. Are some of them black women? Yes. And I go out of my way to avoid these people to prevent harm, and also because I just don't like hanging around shitty people. Most of them I've already blocked on Facebook ages ago. Many I never even see in the community because I don't go to ribbon-cutting ceremonies, political fundraisers, or fancy award banquets. The only thing I know for certain is that roughly 10 people, they still haven't given me a list of accusers, who hate my antics have formed a fellowship of delusion, hell-bent on holding me accountable for vague and ambiguous harm that they can't even define. And they apparently each want public apologies from me for perceived personal slights or Facebook jokes, and my pattern of making them feel bad by organizing circles around them in Binghamton. I'm also informed they don't want me writing any subliminal posts on Facebook in the time being, because that would undermine the process of holding me accountable. So, in keeping with their wishes, I've decided to make these apologies up front and without subliminals. So now there can be no ambiguity about who is being addressed and what I have done to them. I'll start at the top. Chapter 3, Overdue Apologies. To SB. I'm sorry you stole money from black women by pocketing their donation funds. See Attachment 1. I'm sorry I covered it up by fundraising for your victims to replace the stolen money. See Attachment 2. I'm sorry you stole so much money from my family during COVID that I literally had to stop my blood sister from confronting you. See Attachment 3. I'm sorry you've stolen, borrowed, or conned so many black women out of money that I've lost count. I'm sorry you physically, emotionally, and financially abused your black women partners. And I'm sorry they only felt comfortable telling me because they rightly suspected I was also a victim. I'm sorry for the harm you caused Spirit and Slay. It's funny it's believed black women until it's ghetto black women that aren't homeowners with a master's degree running a nonprofit. Oop. See attachment 4. I'm sorry you frequently violate the confidentiality of your professional clients receiving therapy services. You even outed another one during the first accountability meeting 12 days ago. HIPAA laws exist for a reason. See attachment 5. I'm sorry I loaned you the money to get your MSW that was being withheld by the university due to unpaid tuition. If I'd known you were going to use your degree to harm people, I wouldn't have. I'm sorry the plan to shut down Wegmans worked so well because I didn't come up with that on my own. I'm sorry you still refuse to take ownership for your actions leading up to that night. I'm sorry the song Fuck Wegmans was a banger. I'm sorry every word of it is true. I'm sorry your brother's a punk. See attachment 6. I'm sorry I declined my Black Excellence Award nominations for Outstanding Activist and Community Organizer because I didn't want to be associated with you, since it was common knowledge you were abusing black women in the community. See attachment 7. I'm sorry you put a convicted serial woman beater on the fucking Juneteenth committee, yet somehow take issue with me doing community work. See attachment 8. I'm sorry you tried to put white men on my accountability panel. The same men who let Tony openly prey on teenagers in Riot Act. I'll never forgive them for that as long as I live, and yes, I will keep bringing it up. I'm sorry you took advantage of my loyalty and genuine care for you. There was a time I considered you a friend. I apologize to those who were harmed because I was naive and silent. And I apologize for being compelled to break that silence. Chapter 4, Pride and Prejudice. To the tragic mulattoes running the pride of Binghamton. JS, KB, and KB. I'm sorry one of your members is a rapist. I just emailed first-hand proof of those accusations to the accountability panel. I'm sorry you didn't take the accusations seriously when they were first brought to your attention. Maybe you'll do something about it now. I'm sorry another of your members admitted to spying on women through their bedroom windows. I'm sorry I attempted to reintegrate them back into the community where they could commit more harm. I see now that I fucked up. But why are there so many sexual predators in your organization? Wait, I'm sorry there are so many sexual predators in your organization. I'm also sorry one of you repeatedly stole Sokka's car without her knowledge, while she slept. I'm sorry a receipt you dropped from the liquor store is how you ultimately got caught. See attachment 9. I wonder if all your members even know about this stuff, rape, sexual voyeurism, and grand theft auto. Or if leadership just sweeps it under the rug. Because I'm pretty sure most of the folks in your organization have no clue what you tolerate behind closed doors. Maybe you should step back from your leadership roles. I'm sorry you're trying to weaponize accountability against me, instead of the abusers you enable. I'm sorry you think my Facebook posts are more important than stalking allegations. I'm sorry you tried to dig up dirt on me from 9 years ago to expose me for harm I've already acknowledged and apologized for. I was accountable then, as I am accountable now. I'm sorry you don't understand that my status in Binghamton doesn't come from manipulation, but from trust I built with the community. I'm sorry you think this post is a PR stunt. I'm sorry you can't distinguish fact from fiction, truth from propaganda. I'm sorry your white mothers poorly shaped your worldview. I'm sorry you're afraid to be around black people. I'm sorry you're insecure in your blackness and see my advocacy as a threat. I'm sorry you'd rather remove me from organizing spaces than simply do better. I apologize for purposely keeping your noxious energy at a distance, which only caused your resentment to fester and grow to the point of obsession. I apologize for swerving out of my lane. It's not my place to hold black women accountable, which is why I've remained silent, but you put my children at risk with your barrage of lies, threats, and half-truths. There is no lane I would not drive headfirst in to protect them. I'm sorry for being a hypocrite. I'm sorry you brainwashed, isolated, and exploited Ren. And sadly, this isn't the first time it's happened. I'm sorry you convinced them I have anything but love for them, even to this day. I'm sorry you manipulated others to participate in this farce. They're victims in this as well. An accountability process has clear parameters that have not been met, either because you don't care or don't know. I believe in this instance it's both, because this process was never about accountability, it was about restoring your fragile egos because I see you for who you truly are. This process has been illegitimate from the start. Even as people were speculating I must have committed violent crimes against women, you remained intentionally silent and vague to manipulate people into assuming the worst. And still, I would have participated in good faith if given the chance. But the egregious harms that I have allegedly committed couldn't even be conveyed to the committee. The abuses that apparently required the immediate attention of dozens of individuals still haven't been articulated to me or anyone outside of your revenge tribunal. Even the pigs, who have beaten and imprisoned me over the years, make clear the accusations levied against me. I'm sorry your process for justice is less transparent than that of fascists. Lastly, I'm sorry you tried to fight a mom, in front of her terrified and confused child, for the sake of protecting the community from an unsafe man who had already left the space. I'm sorry your bitterness blinded you to the point where you would let children get caught in the crossfire. I'm sorry for what you did to Noah. Chapter 5, Provolone Colored Colonizers. To the white people who attempted to hold me accountable. Nate, Julia, Eric, etc. I'm sorry you're white. I'm sorry you thought I could be held accountable by colonizers. I'm sorry you mistakenly thought I would ever answer to you. In fact, I'm sorry you thought your opinions on this mattered at all. I'm sorry you've learned so little over the years. I'm sorry you think believe black women only applies to the women who praise you and cater to your gaze. I'm sorry you wasted an entire Sunday afternoon in a meeting about me, only to be kicked off a committee you had no business being involved in. On your best days you are allies, but most days you are liabilities. I'm sorry, you thought otherwise. Chapter 6, Time Will Tell. I apologize to those I've genuinely harmed during my years of advocacy. I'm committed to doing better. I apologize for the ways I've been sexist, homophobic, and transphobic. All cishet men are, and we should be treated as such. I'm sorry there are black people in this community who do not trust me or feel safe with me. I have always given them ample space so as not to cause harm, while also making it clear I was more than willing to settle our quarrels and let the healing begin at their say-so. I'm sorry I haven't figured out a way to please all of us and also remain true to myself. I'm sorry that I will never align with black politicians, black cops, black academics, and black nonprofits. We are not on the same team, but I still love my blackness, and yours. I do not think I'm better than you. I think you are victims of the same systems that oppress me. And I hope to one day see you on the freedom side. Most of all, I'm sorry that it's come to this. I've organized in this community for 7 years. I've watched my children flourish. I've watched the community grow. I've seen friends die. Along the way I have made enemies and put many targets on my back. But I knew the risks and have no regrets. Everything that was meant to happen, has happened, and will continue to happen, including this moment. As organizers, we're tasked with mobilizing the masses. Literally. There are some who think 30 volunteers in a Facebook page constitute an abuse of power because they've never seen organizing outside of their hometowns. They think power to the people is just a slogan. They think revolution is a metaphor. If every movement that picks up steam is immediately dismissed as a terrorist cult or leftist hate group by reactionaries, we have no hope for organizing on a meaningful level. Radical organizing comes with radical challenges. If you want conventional challenges, go volunteer for one of the many liberal nonprofits or political candidates who do nothing for our community. This is part of the work. And I'm 100% proud of the work we've done in this community thus far. But I'm more proud of the ways we've pulled together and grown over the years, even during moments of incredible hardship. I'm confident that this moment will be no different, because we are resilient, if nothing else. I'm not the leader, but I am one of many. I've learned to surround myself with people who know when it's their time to step up or step back. We sit in spaces purposely crafted to foster dissent and collaboration in the pursuit of something better. I did my best to surround myself with people willing to prioritize the well-being of black children above all else, because nobody did that for me when I was a child. I promise you that. I apologize for the unfair space I take up in this movement due to my unearned privileges and undeniable risks. I've tried to shrink myself in every way possible. Most of the people reading this don't even know my name. My name is... It's nice to finally meet you. Contrary to what you may have been told, I'm a regular person, not a supervillain bent on, checks notes, Binghamton domination. I am a human being of flesh and blood. I am not a concept or a public utility. I'm not a cartoon character who manipulates people into doing good deeds. I have no issues taking up less space and organizing. In fact, that's my ultimate goal, to be replaced and pass on the knowledge so graciously passed down to me. But I refuse to stand by idly at the expense of my own loved ones. Everything I do is with them in mind. And frankly, the people who prompted this conflict do not care about them. They do not care if my children live or die. They made that clear when a gun was pulled at this past year's Juneteenth event, and their primary concern was for the unwanted praise I received for grappling with a gunman, and not for my children standing 5 yards away. But I know 40 people who would have done the same thing without hesitating. Every success, accomplishment, achievement, and lesson learned on my journey was made possible by the many dedicated, caring, and selfless individuals in my life who recognized my humanity and helped me grow as a person. Thank you to the many black women who have held me accountable, educated me, shown me grace, patience, and understanding, and acknowledged the nuances and complexities of this work, even throughout this current ordeal. Thank you to my loving partners, who share with me not only the joys of organizing, but all the weird and often painful shit that comes with sharing their lives with someone like me. And thank you to those who've listened to me ramble on about reparations and resistance, for the last decade and a half, on the internet and in the streets. Together, we have pushed the limits of advocacy because there will always be people eager to participate in the radical and righteous pursuit of justice. To quote the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This has never been about me as an individual. It's been about moving forward together. But I recognize that this current paradigm is unsustainable. It's messy and exhausting. And I'm getting old. My sole motivation in recent years was to create and promote frameworks of resistance that would last long after my inevitable departure. We should all strive to be replaceable despite our inherent value. In fact, it is because we are temporary and replaceable that we have value. To demonstrate this point, this will be the last post from Roderick Douglas/Strugglist for a while. The usefulness of my platform has expired. I've overstayed my welcome. My Facebook pages only exist because I am an artist at heart, and I believe the role of the artist is to make revolution irresistible. Hopefully I've done that for some of you. I also don't know how else to get 700 toys shipped to me for free, but I have a year to sort that out. In the meantime, not only am I eager to step back, but I have earned that right. And I am confident I've done the work to be replaceable. But time will tell. We keep us safe.